You vote in the comments below.
Which thumbnail should we use on our upcoming video?
Should it be this one? Or
would it be this
or
one?
even this one?
Oh my god. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we want to share with you from experience some things that we've learned as kayak anglers. And if you yourself are a kayak angler, you want to make sure that you are not doing these things. These are the top 5 mistakes that every kayak angler seems to make. Let us know if you've made these mistakes in the comments below and share with us other mistakes that you see other kayak anglers making. And if you really want to heat things up in the comments section, tag them.
Nah, tell us what number 6 is, because I can almost guarantee you it's unloading your kayak and dropping it at the launch off the tailgate, because I've done that.
I've never done it.
Oh, shut your mouth.
Twice.
I watched Jeff's battery bounce higher than anything.
Only 2 times.
Well, dude, we've all done it. But this is what we're getting at, and things have changed. Like, my mistakes list, my top 5 mistakes that everybody makes list like 3 years ago is totally different.
Yep.
And what it is now. And a lot of that's due to kayaks
creativity.
And a real zest for mixing things up. No, I mean, like, seriously, like, just because of like kayaks have changed and there's so many more kayak anglers who have so much more experience, there's a lot more information out there. People make videos, like, things have changed. It's different. So my number 1 is still the same though. Number one, it's a hands down, no question.
Worst mistake.
It's the biggest mistake every kayak angler or fisherman has ever made, and that's not buying a boat. According to the internet, if you didn't buy a boat, biggest mistake ever.
You bought a kayak. Therefore, you dum-dum, how you gonna fish?
We're joking. This is a joke. Now, the number 1 thing, and this would have been for me from day one, and still a mistake I make to this day, and it doesn't matter if you're on the river or on the lake, you go to your juicy spot, your number 1 spot that you pick, and you stay there forever. You waste the whole morning. I mean, this is just a fisherman thing, I think, but kayak is so much more obvious and bad, and it like hurts you so much more because you can't just like go to another spot super quick. Even with motors and everything else, it still really damages it, because that is the juiciest part of the day, is right when you get on the water. So that's number 1. I think that stays there.
It's always at the boat ramp.
You're like 10 feet from the ramp, you're like, there's gonna be one right here. There's never one right there.
Why are you all guilty of this, and why is it always the boat ramp? That's the question. Number 2, and I am not guilty of this whatsoever, and I don't care what Paul says.
Oh, we all are.
It's bringing too much stuff.
Yes.
And this is
stuff.
The vast majority of us bring way too much gear with us, whether it's gear or tackle or
snacks.
We are definitely all guilty, if not now, at one point in time, of bringing way too much gear with us out on the water. You bring too much tackle and all this other extra stuff. And then you also find out, after years of experience in this, that you don't use 98% of that stuff. So you could slim down. And what that would do is that would make you a lot more efficient.
Yes.
And you would have a lighter kayak, and you would have less things to deal with, and ultimately less things to lose and or break, which I have done plenty of times.
And this applies to tools, electronics, baits, like just total boxes, like everything.
Picture this. This is your kayak.
And look, I'm not here to say that everyone shouldn't have like 2 sonar screens, like, 2 motors, 5 tackle boxes, whatever.
Hey, if you're fishing for money,
like
you get everything.
Do what you want to do, but almost every single person has their own limit of where it's too much for them. And I think that as kayak anglers, we all jam so much into our kayaks that it does, to Jeff's point, hurt your efficiency and your focus. And I think, again, everyone has that line. Some of us is higher than others. I think Jeff he's in an aforementioned.
I live there.
Yeah, which is totally fine. But there's a line even for you where like 9 or 10 rods is too many, right? For you, like 6 to 8 is like the sweet spot, right? But we all have had 10 in the boat at one point. And like, I have found that for me, 4 to 5 is perfect, but like I was a 6 to 8 for like a long time. And so we all have our line, and we always cross the line. And so I think as a kayak angler, learning what that line is and staying at or below it, I do think helps you in the long run, which is why that is number 2.
Yeah, you will get to the spot, you will get on the fish faster if you just kind of focus up and slim things down. I have found that it helps out a lot. So I'm somewhere in the middle nowadays. I used to be really bad about this. I gotta say though, it's really hard to like look at your other fishing combos and be like,
it's so
you're not coming out today. Telling your kid they can't go to the park. You're like, I'm so sorry.
Well, what kills you is like, so when we get a new rod to like test or something like that, and then you're like, well, I need to bring the new one, and it's very nice and shiny and great. But then you look at Old Faithful and you're like, gosh darn it, dang it,
Sorry, girl.
I
You
know.
can't come today.
Or guy.
Person.
You. Oh, number 3. This is a big one for me that I have learned in the last. We test a lot of kayaks, right? So we've gone through this year alone 10 different kayaks that we calculated up to.
Stay tuned because we will do a full review of all 10 of those kayaks that we tested out this year. It's a lot. We learned a lot of things.
But we've also modded a lot of kayaks, and we've made some mistakes with modding. And my biggest thing with the kayak, and I've done this with my last 3 builds, I drill almost no holes into the kayak and make no permanent changes until I've tried something or messed around with it or been in the kayak like in the nude for a little while with no upgrades. So
okay, Paul's not naked on the lake. I just want to be perfectly clear.
Am I not?
First things first. Got a new kayak? Go in the
Strip it
nude.
down, get in the seat. No, I mean, like, now this is really important because when you first get into your kayak, you think about the prior kayak that you're in, or you have an idea of what you think is going to work best.
And this is not that.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, you start turning the seat, for example. When I first got the 360 swivel seat on the new canoe, I was banging into the back of the crates, and I was wrecking the top of the crate. So I had to like have the battery in front of the crate, and then it was like, oh, but the way I had the draw lines for the Newport motor in the back, I needed to reroute those, and I tested like 2 or 3 different things, and then there was the electronics cables that I had to go inside the box instead of outside the box. All this stuff that you can't really visualize until you really get in and try it. I recommend basically taking like 5 trips. 5 trips is my line before I drill any holes that I can get away with not drilling at all. That goes for where you're going to mount your electronics. You find that stuff's getting in your way. You find that you can't get into the hatch. That was a big one with electronics, is with the cables, you can't get to the hatch. So all that stuff, just sit with it. Let it simmer. I know you're excited. You're going nuts. You're like, you got your drill out. You're like, I'm getting in there. I totally get it. I've been there. I've made that mistake. Don't make the same mistake as us. Just get in it. Let it simmer. Let the ideas flow. And then when you really know the boat, then start drilling holes.
Unless you like having holes in your kayak.
Then go nuts. You get really good. You're going to get really good with glue and JB Weld.
That's true. You're going to do some repairs. All right. Number 4 kind of coincides with
very
number 3,
close,
but in a different way, right? So number 4, this is a huge mistake, and
this should be number 1 now.
Maybe it should be number 1
now.
It should be number 5. What's the best?
It's in the top 5. It's the first is the worst. Everyone does it, but this is way up there.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is not testing your kayak before you buy it. And I hear what you're saying. You're like, where do I do that? How does that happen? A lot of kayak stores, if they sell kayaks, if they're worth their weight in salt, they have a puddle nearby that they will go float your plastic vessel in, and you can hop on board and see how it feels. A lot, not every, but a lot of kayak stores do this. All you got to do, honestly, is look them up, call them. That is exactly what I did, and now we have a place that we go to all the time, twice a year, and we constantly bug this guy, but we're talking about Water Dog Outfitters in Whitehall, Michigan. Beautiful Whitehall,
gorgeous.
Michigan.
And what I will say about them is they have something that not everyone has. They have a Yaxie where they'll load up 4 kayaks for you. They'll take them down to the water, they'll get you set up, and you can try out every single one. But again, to just when a lot of places do this, I get the barrier. You don't want to go through the hassle of calling and driving and getting out there. But I will tell I will tell you right now, the difference between like a Native Titan X and like a New Canoe Unlimited, you would think they're kind of the same. And
it's huge.
They're not even in the same galaxy. There's nothing about them that's similar. They're totally different. And then you go from like let's say we're choosing between a 10-foot and a 12-foot. You're going to make the choice based on maybe price. Or you're going to make the choice on maybe just weight.
Guessing.
You can't even understand the difference of loading and unloading a kayak until you just pick up the front end, because the way
stability.
Stability is a huge one.
Yeah.
Or just cockpit layout. There's things that you think you know, you absolutely do not know. The seat alone is worth the cost of entry. I promise you guys, I wouldn't tell you to do this. I wouldn't be recommending and pushing that it goes up the list to number 1, but didn't think it was a huge deal. So that is number 4.
And if you gotta drive to test them out, do it. Make a vacation out of it.
Yes.
Pick a spot.
Like Whitehall.
Come to Whitehall, Michigan. This is video sponsored by Whitehall Tourism.
It's not at all, but it should be.
Where's Tim Allen? When we need him?
No,
Tim comes in. He does the Pure Michigan commercial.
In his dad's Lions shirt from 1992.
Yes. The point is, and this would be effective, pick a place you want to go. Find a kayak store that does demos near there. boom, book vacation.
Yeah.
That way you make it worth it, and don't go driving like 6 to 8 hours just to come right back.
But you'll be happy. You'll be super happy you did it. It will be one of the things you look back on and be like, look, I was going to invest in a new kayak, a couple $1,000s. Make it worth the investment.
It is an investment, so keep that in mind. All right, number 5.
Oh man, this one was tricky. We kind of went back and forth on this one, and this is a big one for me though. I think having your eyes be bigger than your truck bed. That's kind of how we thought about it. And what that means is you're looking at all the kayaks out there and you're like, oh, I could fully load this one out. I could get my 2 screens, my 2 motors. I'll get the bow mount, I'll get the back motor.
And it would look like this.
And it will look like that. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with a kayak like that, but you will fill up your truck bed in a heartbeat. You will realize that you need a trailer in a heartbeat. And what happens is you spend $2,000 or $3,000 like on an XTR, right? And then all of a sudden you realize, oh man, but I can't actually paddle this one alone. Now I have to buy a motor now. Then you're like, this is what you don't think about. No, now I need a wiring kit. Now I need a foot steering kit.
Now it's too big. I need a trailer so I can back it down the ramp because I'm not going to truck load this or I
literally can't lift it without, like, you've been on a slippery boat land. If you're a Crocs guy, that's a recipe for a broken back.
No. If you're a Crocs guy, you're not watching this. You're deceased.
You are ripped. And so like it's just all that stuff adds up really fast. And one thing that people don't take into account is all the through-hull wiring kits, all the glue, all the all the miscellaneous stuff that goes into rigging out a huge kayak.
It's the expense, it's the weight, and it's the complexity of going fishing. So all of a sudden it's a chore to go fishing. So you got to know what you're getting into.
Batteries.
If you're not doing the trailer launch with that fully rigged out kayak, you are spending 25 minutes at the ramp, loading up your boat, setting it up, getting everything
batteries, crate, rods, snacks,
more things to remember.
Fast. And
hear me out, like I love those things.
I
love my kayaks, and I have fully rigged them out. They're not kitted out as much as Greg Blanchard, or Christine Fisher. They've got the 2 screens and whatnot, but they're pretty kitted out, and I like that. However, I didn't start there. It took a while to work up to that point, and since then, we've also figured out all these efficiencies that you can create, like ways to make this go faster. The New Canoe Gear Pod is an example of that, because I can just go boom, boom, done. And everything's loaded up.
And I think people just gloss over the 10-foot option. They gloss over the ultralight option. They
go for the bigger, longer, wider,
bigger, heavy, more expensive kayak. And like, I have gone backwards. I went all the way out to the monster kayak, right? And I was like, you know what, this is really nice. And then, man, one day I was loading that thing by myself, and I was like on a steeper ramp, and I was in the water, and I'm having like a really hard time loading this thing. And I'm kind of imagining someone who doesn't work out as much, doesn't want to deal with it, and they're like, this would suck. Like this would ruin that. I would dread pulling out. Now I run the U10, the New Canoe U10, and I can just. The quick connect system, motor pops off, battery comes out, the front pod comes out if you need to, and that kayak weighs like 80-some pounds, and so it's so much easier to load. I just think people gloss over that. So eyes bigger than a truck bed basically means don't gloss over the throw and go, don't gloss over the lighter pedal drive versus like a whole kitted out like with a bow mount motor and stuff. You're going to save a lot of money. You're going to get into a situation I think you might actually be happy with. So just don't pass it by instantly thinking that you have to have the baby bass boat. You don't necessarily need it. For those of you who it works for, good for you, but just think about it for a second.
Consider it, test it out, borrow a friend's kayak.
Try it out.
Try it. Try it out for yourself. All right, there you go. That is our top 5 mistakes that just about we could say every.
I could say all kayak anglers. You've made these mistakes to some degree at some points. You did this. 1,000%.
Hey, don't worry, we're not picking on
anybody. We're like the Spider-Mans.
We're guilty of this too. All right. So if you're guilty of this, that's totally fine. Just learn from your mistakes and do better.
That's coming from a couple of dads.
It's okay, buddy.
I'm disappointed. You should be too.
I'll get over it. You will too. Just learn from your mistakes and do better. Pat. So as always, let us know what we missed in the comments below. Let us know if you agree with our top 5 or if you got some other great, wonderful examples of mistakes people are making, and share with us in the community down below. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. We love y'all, and we'll catch you on the next video. Okay, bye. I was going to go to 2.